I haven't seen this guy in forever. He's a singer, songwriter, and excellent guitar player. And I don't know. I think he has some new music. I'm not sure, but there's plenty of it out there on the Apple Music and wherever you get fine rock and roll. So let's welcome in my friend Adam Baum. What's up, man?
Jamieson, hello. Rock like fuck. Can you say that on here?
You can. Well, you did.
Okay, yes, I did. Last time I saw you was at a party for Led Zeppelin.
So I
introduced Ed Trunk to John Paul Jones.
Well, not only did you introduce Eddie Trunk to John Paul Jones, you introduced me to John Paul Jones, and the picture and the proof is right here. This is a photo I will never lose. I have it saved in about 900 places. And dude, that was so this is having you on. Part of it is just to say thank you again for this moment, because you created this. You know, you come up to me, you're like, oh, I know John Paul Jones. Oh, sure, everyone knows the guys in Led Zeppelin, right? All right, Adam, sure. Introduce me to John Paul Jones. You take me over there. He's like, hey, Adam, mate, how you doing? He knows who you are. Next thing you know, we're in this conversation together. And what a gentleman! How did you end up becoming friends with John?
Well, my wife Claire, who ran the Limelight, used to do his publicity for his first album, Zuma, his first solo album.
Right.
So there was a little press dinner, and she said, "Oh, I'm doing the press for John Paul Jones." I said, "Oh, can I come?" And then I just sat myself right next to him, and I wouldn't shut up for the whole dinner, and I kind of charmed him. And I was playing a gig in London, maybe a month or so later after that. And I called him up and invited him to the show. And he came in his little mini Mercedes, one of those half Mercedes cars, those little things. And he came to the show and he loved it so much. He wrote a song called Angry Angry that night and had me play on it the next day. And we just always kind of crossed paths. I've invited him to shows tons of times. He's come up and played with me at gigs in London. More than once. He actually played an acoustic gig with me where there was 3 people. There was only 3 people at the show. And then John came up and played. It was funny because I guess once he was supposed to come to a show in London, but he didn't show up. And then all these people go, "Oh, you won't show." And so they didn't come. And
that's amazing. If there's 5 people in a room and one of them is John Paul Jones, that's a pretty good statistical musical type of situation you would definitely like to be in. So I really appreciate you doing that. That was an incredible night. I met Jimmy Page that night. Jason Bonham. Didn't meet Plant though. I didn't meet Plant that night. He was talking to Stevie Nicks, and there was no way to crowbar into that. And I don't even think with your power you could get me in to that conversation. But it was a cool night anyway.
Jimmy wanted to know where he could get one of me for him because I was such a John fan. Going on and on about it. It's funny though, I remember walking down 6th Avenue, like sort of where Fox News is, and I hear this, "Hey, Adam," and it was John and Hugh Manson, who was his guitar tech.
Okay.
And I just ran into them on 6th Avenue. It was a few years ago, but like out of the blue, and I thought, what the fuck? So. Anyway, it's kind of interesting because I'm speaking to Manson Guitars about helping a friend of mine develop a guitar that because I use lights on my guitars and things like that.
Yep.
Most of your listeners aren't familiar, but I'm talking with a guy who could definitely use some major lights and lasers and fireworks and crap on his guitars. So we're going to design something for him that's going to be like SpaceX.
Oh, that's cool, man. And let me give a little background for the people who watch my show about Adam. Now, I know Adam from, I seen Adam Baum at L'Amour's back in the day. To me, I see you hanging out at the Limelight back in the day, all that stuff. So to me, you were always like a New York guy, a rock guy on the scene all the time. But I think you're originally from the Pacific Northwest, if I'm not mistaken.
Seattle, yeah. I'm a Seattle boy.
14 years old. You have a cover band with Jeff Tate from Queensryche.
Yeah, I had a couple high school. Well, I was in junior high, and all the other kids were in high school, and we had to advertise for singers, and it was always tough getting a singer. And Jeff Tate was one of the guys who answered this ad. This was a long, long time ago, and we did a Battle of the Bands we were a pretty cool band. We were called Tyrant, and unfortunately, it was actually a rigged election, and we lost.
What do you mean?
It was rigged. The band that won was a kind of a cover band that played My Sharona. And we came in and did Judas Priest and Van Halen. And,
see, even back then there was voter fraud.
Yeah, I mean, well, Tate got nominated for a Grammy, didn't he? So maybe the judges were wrong back in 1979 or whatever. But back then, I only cared about three things: girls, guitars, and marijuana.
That's right.
Set the Fox News newsroom on fire with his guitar when he was
okay. So Bill Schultz, who has a show right before mine on the network, he wanted me to ask you about setting the Fox newsroom on fire with one of your guitars.
Did I do that? Actually, no. I did light my guitar on fire on Greg Gutfeld's show.
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Greg Gutfeld is an awesome guy. He's amazing. Like that he's got this gig at Fox News, and he's really a super smart journalist. And he pushes the edge, but I'm the guy who almost got him fired.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you just said all those nice things about him.
the Greg Gutfeld part. I don't like that part.
No, he's saying those nice things about Greg, so he doesn't. He's still ditching that bill for all the fire damage, so he's got to say nice things about Greg.
Nothing burned.
But yeah,
I bridge at Fox News. But you know what? I look at Fox News like it's the new MTV. I mean, Christ, this Ainsley, she's hot, but Kennedy and all these personalities, it really is like MTV used to be. And if you think about, first they got kids on pinball games, and they eventually got the same companies to make casino games, so guys our age now could waste all their money in casino games. It's the same thing, flashing lights. I think they prepped MTV for kids nowadays that are adults to be interested in politics.
You're right, man. It's funny you say that because you got Kennedy over there. All the news anchors are hot, and now kids are into politics. Just as much as
and
music.
Fox News, the graphics are pretty much the same as any Duran Duran video circa 1984. So it's kind of like that.
Hey man, so after Seattle, you moved. You do like a lot of guys do. You moved to Los Angeles, of course, and you settled down. You have a roommate that eventually goes on to be known as Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses, and then I understand you auditioned at 16 years old. You auditioned for Kiss. Tell me about that.
Most of that stuff happens to be in this book, and if it's not in this book, it's in this one. Okay,
these are Atom Bomb tales of a rock and roll life here.
Yeah. When I moved to Hollywood at like 18, and like every kid with dreams, we got an apartment with our friends, and I met some guy that was bumming quarters and asked me if I wanted to get stoned. He came over to my house or my apartment and never left, and turned out to be Izzy. He was all right back then. I mean, the thing is, I never thought that he would be such an iconic guitar player.
Sure.
I mean, I was a little guitar hero when I was a kid, and I was into Rush and Van Halen and bands like that. So if you only knew a few chords, I didn't really get the punk rock, Hanoi rock sort of thing. It wasn't what I was into.
Yep.
But the way music developed is kind of strange. What I did find interesting, though, you say that the guys from Armored Saint are coming on your show, yeah?
Yes. I
actually opened for Armored Saint. I was the third act, and the second act was Metallica with Cliff Burton.
Right. Oh my God.
Well, I sort of knew that I'm a glam rock guy with pretty hair and basically look like a girl, and this sea of denim and leather jackets were going to eat me alive. And yeah, they spit on me. They booed me. They if I would have stage dive, I might not have arms. I mean, they would have ripped me apart. But, the way I looked at it is like, wow, I actually had a chance to open for Cliff Burton when he was an opening act. And something like that, you can't create, you couldn't do it. It doesn't exist anymore. So things like this, they mean more to me than anything. You don't have to be a millionaire. I don't need no fucking platinum records on my wall to remember the cool things that I did in life. And I got to rub shoulders and hang out with people when they were before they were icons, before they were legends. I got to see them when they actually were what they, what propelled them to greatness.
Yeah, I remember those days when Metallica used to open for Armored Saint, and then Metallica had asked John Bush from Armored Saint actually to become their singer because Hetfield was kind of he was a reluctant singer.
I think your Johnny Z guy may have wanted to do that. Managers back then everybody just wanted to sell records, and they thought, oh, gee, this guy doesn't have a voice. Well, you know what? Hetfield did have a voice. He proved it. And he became platinum. Maybe he is a shitty singer, but I'm the king of shitty singers. I've been making a living off it for a long time. So have your voice. You don't need to be Pavarotti or Rob Halford to make rock and roll.
For sure, as long as you have some character in your voice and it comes from the heart, you can rock and roll. It's not a problem.
I think Hetfield is the biggest proof of that. I mean, I'm not friends with the guy. I'm not really a Metallica fan, but I do appreciate that he stuck to his guns, and I know exactly the shit he went through when some guy who's going to give him a $500 check because the guy's got nothing, basically just so he can buy some food and have a place to sleep for a couple of nights, is telling him that maybe he should consider being just the guitar player. He has to listen and eat that shit. And luckily, it came to a point where he got lucky and didn't have to bow to it. But many people did. Thing is,
for better or for worse.
If you had a choice to make it, being something else, or stick to your guns, maybe it's better to stick to your guns. Because I know some guys, like, for example, Bruce from Poison, CC DeVille. He was miserable. When a guy like that, who is not Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck, or even close, I mean, not even in the dirt in their fingernail, and then he's being rated in Circus Magazine as the above Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck as a guitarist, that fucks with your head. That makes you think you're something that you're not. And it really is a hard thing to sort of live with. Yeah. I always wanted to be a rock fan. I never wanted to challenge the titans of rock. They're what created me. I just wanted to do what they taught me to do, which was go out and live life and, you know what? Rock like you're Hunter Biden, man. Jesus Christ.
Rock like fuck.
Have a party. Maybe the Trump girls are really hot, and everything, but I bet you had to have a more fun night hanging out with Hunter than you would with the Trump girls. Not that I'd want, to smoke crack in the Lincoln bedroom, but, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. You have an unbridled passion for rock and roll, which I appreciate. And again, you've had so many experiences over the years, and I wanted you to give me a quick thing about auditioning for Kiss, though.
Okay, well, I read an ad and I was in a band called TKO, I think, or... Yep,
I remember them. In Your Face.
And, I had read an ad in Billboard, because when you're a kid looking to make it, you wanted to... We look at Billboard, and you'd find insights, especially when you're stuck in Seattle, which was not an epicenter of anything. It was an epicenter of shit.
Right.
Right after I left, it became a music business hotspot, but that's just another irony in my fire. I read an ad in Billboard, said... major band with record deal looking for a guitar player. Must be 21, 6 foot, at least 6 foot, blah, blah, blah. I was 16 and 5'6". But I sent
Close
my
enough.
picture. I lied about my age, and I got a call from Eric Carr. And, at first I didn't really quite believe it, but, Eric Carr. And he asked me to come to Hollywood and audition for Kiss. So I asked my dad for a plane ticket because they wouldn't pay for it. And I got to go to Hollywood. I stayed at the Tropicana. I went to the Starwood that night and saw a band called Rat with a guitar player named Mark Jermeen who copied Eddie Van Halen exactly with the O face and the pointing and stripes and the overalls. And I went to SIR and auditioned for Kiss. I knew I wasn't going to get the gig. I first of all, I was a pothead back then, and I knew they were very anti-drug. So that was my first wondering, like, how would I ever be able to be in this prison if that was me? But then I had visions of People magazine, and I just really wanted to jam with Kiss. So I went in there with my guitar, and I got to play Detroit Rock City, Firehouse, what was the others? Dr. Love and Black Diamond with Kiss. And I'll never forget it. And I also got to play my guitar solo because I was a little Van Halen guitar whiz. And I just remember that I got to jam with Kiss, and they remember it. There was a long line of guys auditioning, but I've always had a little history with Kiss. Even before then, when I met him and met Ace without their makeup, and from time when we watched them unmask themselves in Hollywood, I was sitting with a guy who was a friend of mine in a band called Black and Blue. His name's Tommy Thayer. We watched Kiss unmask themselves on TV, and he said, "You should have been the guitar player." I said I wasn't tall enough.
And then Tommy obviously becomes Ace's tech. Now plays, Ace's.
He was never Ace's tech. He was the tour manager for Kiss.
Oh, okay.
And, Kiss are very smart. Gene Simmons is like a manager. He's like a David Krebs type, and he would have smart guys from a generation or two below him to understand and what's going on in kids' minds. And he milked Tommy from everything to guitar riffs to ideas about Kiss, and he complied, and Kiss let Black and Blue open for them, and eventually Black and Blue got an album produced. But Tommy and Gene were always very close. Gene saw a lot of potential in Tommy, who was a very smart, sophisticated guy amongst
Yeah, absolutely.
And then kept up with him, and when an opportunity came, he helped Kiss get back together with Ace. And if you think of the Brooklyn Bridge time when they did that, and getting Kiss back in the makeup together and the original members, which some of us were lucky enough to see, and it couldn't last forever because, let's face it, Peter shot, and Ace is not what Ace used to be. He's great, and I love him to death, and he's an icon forever. But when you see Kiss, you don't want to see guys that look like old bikers. You want to see studs. You want to, as much as you can anyway. And I understand what they're going through. What Tommy did for Kiss and what he did for rock and roll is one of the greatest things I could ever imagine. He brought back Kiss pretty much single-handedly because Ace would have taken him down. And it can be very easy for a band to let one member take you down.
Yeah. And then Tommy also saw the potential in you, and he dubbed you Atom Bomb. You've had this solo career now for years and years, and like I said, your music's all
buddies. He saw me when I opened. His band Movie Star opened for me when I was in a band called TKO, and I had one of the first Floyd Roses, and I was a little hotshot. I mean, I'm not by any way a talent, say like Eddie Van Halen or Jeff Beck, or I'm a sort of a different form. It's like the product of it. It's almost like, what do you get if you put Eddie Van Halen, Jeff Beck, and Angus Young in a sandwich and eat it? What they're going to shit out is going to be me.
Right. Well, that should be the first line in your publicity packet is that line. And I don't want to run out of time with you because I know you
have to do one thing before we do run out of time.
Yeah, because I know you have a personal story about Eddie. Eddie
signed this guitar. You may not be able to see it, but he scratched his name in it. This is the second guitar I had Ed sign because the first one got stolen. I was fortunate enough to have moments with Ed when Ed was the guy who did Eruption, not the guy who went after 1984, but pre-1984 Van Halen, and seeing that, it's almost like seeing Led Zeppelin at the time of Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
So I was completely blessed. I think about him all the time. Now that he's dead, I can hear his voice in my head. Like I can talk to him like I do my wife or Johnny Thunders. Sometimes I catch glimpses. I don't know. I feel horrible about what's happened to Ed, but it's almost like he was waiting. When you have cancer, I understand it's such a horrible fight, and I lost my wife, dude. It fucked me up beyond belief.
Yeah, we've all been affected by it. I don't care who you are, where you're from. I don't care how strong you are or how strong you think you are. It's just this is just such a horrible disease. And Eddie obviously fought for the last couple. He's been fighting it for about the last 10 years. And I think
he let it take him over. I understand that. I would it's their own personal choice of how they want to fight. If it was me, I would have just let it kill me. And I would have gone out riffing. But, some people really try to focus on beating it, and it'll always eventually win. I hope he tried marijuana, because I helped a girl get free of breast cancer by getting her some medicine from a guy that actually made it from marijuana, this Rick Simpson oil.
Right.
And was a good friend of mine. She was 33. She got diagnosed with breast cancer. I bought her this treatment, banged it out in 3 months. Anyway.
Amazing work, my friend.
And cancer will never kill him because he lives forever. And that's what rock and roll is. Just like drugs didn't kill Johnny Thunders, he lives forever. These guys will. And I'm not that, you know, I just want to be that rock and roll guy playing in a bar till I'm 80 and have done the life that I wanted to do. But I wanted, before I go, Don, I want to play Eruption for you and for Ed. I might do a shitty job of it, but this is for all you rockers and for Ed. Let's give it a shot, yeah?
Should we tell him we can't hear him, or? There we go. Up. There we go. We're sort of hearing Eruption. The cool thing about this solo is even if you can barely hear it, you know what it is. There we go. All right. There we go. Long live the maestro. Long live Adam Baum. Hey, check out Adam on Facebook. Check out Adam's books, Rock and Roll Tales. This guy's got 1 million of them. And check out.
Someday you should ask Ed Trunk what I did in his back seat.
I heard that story. We'll do that another time. But and thank you again for introducing me to John Paul Jones.
Whatever. Rock like fuck.
Love you, brother.
Thanks,
Be well, man. Adam Baum. See, we had technical problems. What are you going to do? But like I said, you know, when like you could just watch him play it, and you know he's playing it because it's such an iconic solo.